we're doing something a little bit different this week. Talked about the Oscars last week, and they have some movies that, for a change, we're pretty interested in checking out. So, over the next few weeks, we're going to look at some nominees, maybe some Razzie nominees, and maybe some movies that should have been nominated. I don't know, but we're starting with the Banshees of Inisherin. This movie is about two longtime friends who one day no longer are, and this really really bothers one of them to no end, and that's kind of where the movie starts and takes you. So have you ever seen him, or when was the last time you saw a movie that was so fun and lighthearted and silly and became so dark?
Ooh, been
Like, it's been a while for me.
been a minute actually, and it's probably the thematic thing in this movie that has stuck with me the most, and since I saw it. This movie has made me think a lot about it, and that is the thing that I'm like, damn. And it's what's his name? I had a hard time hearing how they pronounced his name. Colin Farrell.
Um,
Parlick or something.
it's spelled Patrick. Uh,
Patrick. Yeah.
Irish is
Like
like Pyric. I think it's
pirate.
the equivalent of Patrick,
Okay.
but
Okay.
Pedrick,
Pedrick.
it's Pedrick is basically it.
Gotcha. So it kind of the movie kind of takes you from like his mindset from start to finish, like in theme,
Yeah,
really. And yeah,
right.
I could not tell you the last time.
We're watching the movie, and it's really witty. It's
Mhm.
silly. It has these one-liners. There's these characters you feel for, like lots of oddball characters. And then one of the friends, Colm, he makes a comment about what will happen if this friendship doesn't end. And you're like, yeah, it won't ever go that far. And then it does, and it kind of keeps escalating. And I didn't see it the first time, and I didn't see where it was going to be headed afterwards. Like, I was very surprised by the turn that it took. Now, that being said, I thought it was so well done and so well written, and it went from being like this silly premise of waking up one day and thinking like, I don't want to be your friend anymore, to this really introspective story about your legacy and what you mean and what have you done and how important that is to you. And I don't know if I've ever seen anything that's made that drastic of a turn, and still been coherent and made sense.
Right? Yeah, no, this movie definitely is like a trip, and not like in like psychedelic way. Like it is a journey,
Yeah.
and the one of the things that I think I ultimately like about it the most is that it's kind of like even all this kind of terrible stuff starts to happen, and you know uh, personally they're kind of unraveling.
Mhm.
Each character that we get to know is kind of coming apart at the seams in their own way. And his sister, what's her name?
Uh, that's another.
Siobhan.
Yeah.
Siobhan. It's funny, like how she is like the only character, the only person on the island who is seeing what's happening and like learning from it.
Yeah.
You,
You're
you know
go
what I
ahead. I'm
mean?
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just I thought that was just such an interesting aspect of it.
Yeah. She's the only one who's grounded and who
Mm-hmm.
understands what's happening, and then wants to change things and improve herself and her brother's life. Like, I thought she was a really good character, and I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so it, like you said, it's set on an island, so you get to know pretty much everyone on the island, and I think that it gave the world of the movie like this really lived in feel. It takes place in 1923, I think, is what the
Yeah.
calendar said. And I mean, you feel the story. Like, it's so easy to get caught up in their world. And there's the two friends, and then I know I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Barry Keogh, I think his name is, and
Oh yeah.
I forgot the name of his character.
Dominic. Yeah.
Dominic, such an amazing character. I really, he was like my favorite character in the whole
Oh,
thing. I really liked him. uh
Amazing.
the bartender, the cop, like the woman who worked at the postmaster or the general store or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, one of the reasons that this movie is, and yeah, great performances and great story, but it also has a string of really, really interesting characters.
Totally. No, this movie is held up by the power of all of these characters. Like I could see this being just a great novel, like a novel that you would
Yeah,
you would read over and over kind of stuff because there's not a huge amount of characters really. There's a town with more people in it that you don't meet, but
right.
your major, like you just said, our major players have just this richness to them. Even the bartender who you don't get a whole lot of, but he's an integral part of how this friendship is working and has worked in the past and how it's working right now. And I loved how everybody interacted and how you could just see, yeah, like the patty cop was this total asshole, and the super nosy woman who's reading everybody's mail. Like I love that stuff. And that's it. Like this movie it's I would almost say it's almost trying, like because of the turn. Even like I had to kind of like take a break from it, like the like while I was loving what I was seeing from everybody, like I kind of had to stop for like 10 minutes and be like, I'm gonna get up and go take a walk for a second and get some water and come back. And so I was wondering if you had that kind of reaction to this, or if you just thought if you were just kind of gliding with the story.
No, I went along with the story even when it takes that turn. But it is an exhausting watch because
Okay, yeah.
when it's all over, you take a deep breath and it's kind of
Yeah.
like, okay, that was 2 hours of my life. I don't mean in a bad way, but
Right.
you were sucked into this world and really caught up in these people's lives,
Hmm.
because it's almost one big shared life, really.
Right.
And you're caught up in their lives, and then you go through so much in the space of that time that it's hard at the end to just be like, man, that was a really cool movie.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
yeah, I had to get up and like take a deep breath and be like, okay, and then I had to like process stuff of the
Yeah.
movie because there was so much
So
going
much.
on. And ironically or conversely, I guess, like, there is no action. It's very, very, very little like you said, Taki or Dewey's. This is like
Yeah.
a Taki. Like,
Talkie.
this is characters learning about themselves or being oblivious, and
Right.
they're learning about other people, learning about life. Like, no action whatsoever, but I'll be damned if it's like not more engaging than some of the most action-packed movies I saw last year.
Yeah. Oh, totally. No, it totally has you. Well, for me, it had me going like, how the like these you're both crazy people. Like quit
Yeah,
acting this way, like, yeah. And it really it's an engrossing movie on so many levels. And like you said, Dominic, the Barry Kogan or whatever his name is, that character's so that his acting is so good in it. I think he's up for an Oscar, I think, for
he
this.
is up for an Oscar for it,
He
and
should totally win.
yeah,
I don't know.
like I had no opinion whatsoever for. I was like, oh yeah, he's good in some other things. After seeing Banshees,
No.
I don't see how he can't win it. I mean, he's really funny. You empathize with him. Like, I mean, he's a really interesting character. I just
Is
he's pitiful and sad. All this stuff that you want in a character. I mean, he has it, and just like I was fascinated by him. I just loved him.
It's crazy because it's like you're in a movie where Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson are just knocking it out of the park.
Yeah,
This guy shows up and overshadows all of it with his performance, in my opinion, which was
yeah.
really quite something.
And Colin Farrell is just amazing in this
Oh,
movie. Like,
awesome.
and this movie's so effortlessly funny. Like, there's a part where they're talking about Dominic, and he's asking his sister, like, "Oh yeah, Dominic's the dimmest one on the island," and then and then he asks her, "So who's the second dimmest?" Like, it's a little thing, but it's really. And then later on, he has to be explained what like touche
Dole.
means.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And he writes back to her because she says, "I what does she say? She arrived safely, basically, but the word she uses is But he literally writes, "I do not know
I
what."
don't know what you just said.
Yeah. Just a really good character. There's also this. I mean, this is straight up like out of a vaudeville sketch comedy, but he's lying to someone about how someone in his family has passed away, with a milk truck, and then
Oh
there's
yeah.
there's a setup, like a body and a punchline to the
Yeah.
whole just
Yeah.
laugh out loud funny. And it's such a weird thing in this very, and the thing is, it's a very serious moment, it's a very
It
serious
is.
movie, but it's hilarious throughout. Like, I absolutely loved how they can interject humor into this thing.
Yeah. No, the darkness of the humor, and the lightness at times, it really levels the movie out. Well, and so you never get too high or too low, really. Um, well, you get pretty low, but it doesn't. It still maintain, even the last scene of the movie's got some humor to it. So,
Yeah,
the it was incredibly well written. It was incredibly well written. It's one of the best written movies, because also put on your subtitles, because you're gonna need them.
yeah.
But you get to read it too. But it is such a well written movie.
No, it's a very well written movie, and one of the things that it has going throughout it, and I think if I were Irish, or if I were more familiar with the time, I would really get more out of it. But there's a constant theme of, on the mainland, there's a civil war going on between, well, the IRA and then the Irish, who just want to be, and this is where I don't know much about Irish history, and I think at this point, this is before their, no, this has nothing to do with the UK at all. This is like, I don't think this
This
is
is a
anything.
civil war.
This is, and I think what the movie's trying to get across is that, Calm and Pedrick, like, they're kind of like an embodiment of that civil war.
Sure.
And I really liked how they did, without making it in your face, like, just in the background there's gunshots and people will mention it. I don't
Hmm.
know if this has anything to do with, like, in, later years with Protestants and Catholics and all that, but definitely it's a civil war. Then you got the civil war of the friends, and like, it's a really, I don't know, maybe even a heavy-handed metaphor, but in the context of this story, I thought it went really well.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. Yeah, there was such, and it was very subtle, really.
Yeah,
The war. I love the way they interjected the Civil War stuff to the story, because it also adds tension, right? There's tension on the mainland, there's tension on the island. Civil War is causing and like these two guys having a rouse or whatever they call it. They're it's affecting everybody around them. And it was a cool allegory.
I like it. They were rowing.
Rowing.
They were
Are we rowing? I don't think we're rowing.
I loved how everybody asked him that. He was like, "No, I
Yeah.
don't think so." Like, so, I know neither of us has seen all of the movies that have been
Yeah.
nominated for Oscars, but do you think, just, with in your limited knowledge of how the Oscar votes are, is this an Oscar worthy title?
Ooh, yes, absolutely. Yeah. If you were to tell me that this won Oscars for any such reason, I would not question that.
Yeah, I would. I mean, who knows why people pick, like, I don't know how you can
I
have
don't know how it works.
yeah, who knows how you can have Top Gun and whatever Triangle of Sadness or whatever in the same list,
Right.
but you do.
Sure.
So I think any list with Top Gun or Avatar, that Banshees of Inisherin should also be on. So Banshees of Inisherin, it's on HBO Max right now. C or no C?
Banshee. So this movie, it left me thinking about it for days, and I did. Yes, you should see it. You should definitely see this. I'm not going to tell you it's going to leave you feeling super great. It kind of left me uneasy, and that's my only caveat for a really great film.
Yeah, this is, man, it's thought provoking and it's really funny and it's really sad. But if you have HBO Max, I mean, there's absolutely no reason not to watch this movie. It's about 2 hours. It's a breeze. It's exhausting, but it'll be over before you know it. So definitely check it out.